Baltimore, good morning. This is Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We've got a great guest today, folks. Senator Cory McCray, 45th District, hardest working man in Annapolis, if you ask me. He's going to share some things with you. He's got a new book out. He's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about some things going on in 45th District as well as overall in Maryland. So Baltimore, go get your snacks and come right back.
Yeah. Baltimore, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. New life. Let's go. Yeah. The New Life Recovery Center on the map, where they talk real talk, where they help you bounce back from the needle, from the bottle, from the dice, from the cell, from the nights you were living in your own private hell. Start a new life.
Baltimore, Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. Baltimore, we've got who I consider the hardest working man in Annapolis. Save the governor, of course. That's Senator Cory McCray. Senator McCray was with us last year. He was one of the first few guests. He blessed us with his presence and some information that he was doing at that time, but a whole year has passed. As a matter of fact, the folks in the 45th will be able to be blessed to have him to serve another 4 years, and he'll talk about that. So we want to welcome a native son, a guy I've got a great deal of respect for, and Senator Cory McCray. Senator McCray, good morning to you, man.
Man, I appreciate you, and I'm blessed by the opportunity.
Yes, sir. So listen, I want to get right to it because I'm excited about this, and you've got the apprenticeship that saved my life. This is a labor of love, folks. You got to get it. So Senator, we got to find out what was the thinking that led to this wonderful resource.
Man, when I think about our young people in urban jurisdictions, not just in the city of Baltimore, but across the country, and I think about like how I'm in schools at least once a week talking about 30 young people. But the question is, how can you talk to 60? How can you talk to 300? How can you talk to 3,000? And the next step would be able to do that book. So the folks, when they read this, what can they get out of it, and what do you think can apply to them? The first thing that I think about when we measure what does success, I always say that a smart person figures out how not to make the mistake over and over again, but a wise person figures out how to learn from other people's mistake. And my goals with this book is to figure out how my young people, how some of my folks that may be going through things, how do they get there quicker? How do they get there stronger?
Sure.
I shared my Baltimore story. A lot of times folks don't know because they see me in this position and they think that it just come. But the reality was that I had tough times in our K through 12 system. I can remember going to Rockland, Chicopin, Winston, Emerson, Northern, graduating from Fairmont Hartford. We called it the Toot. Generation now, they call it Reach Partnership, and generation before me, they called it Little Clifton. I think about being wrapped up in our DJS system. I think about being committed to that DJS system at the age of 13, just being out of my mom's care at 13 years of age. I got 4 children. I got a Kennedy, Reagan, CJ, and Bryson. I couldn't imagine not one of my young people under my roof at some point in time. I also speak to how I was wrapped up in that adult system at the age of turning 18 over to Baltimore City Jail, but twice before I could even turn 18 being over L section and charged as an adult, and I was only a juvenile. And then I think about those experiences, and I think about my trajectory that I headed on. I think about like what actually shifted the gears for Cory McCray, and that was my mom. My mom never giving up on her son. It was my mother, Renee McCray. Renee McCray, when I would be incarcerated the last time over there at L section, I can remember telling my mother to give up on me. I could tell her that I didn't see a clear path forward. I can remember telling her that I'm just frustrated with hurting this woman that I love so much. But then I think about the words that my mother shared with me at that moment. And my mother said these words that still shake me to my core. She said, "Cory, I'm gonna keep believing in you until you believe in yourself." Then it was my mother that reached out to the Maryland Department of Labor. It was my mother that said, "Can you send me every apprenticeship program in the state of Maryland?" 20 years ago, they didn't have email, so they mailed you a packet.
Sure.
And what she did was she said, "Cory, I need you to fill out applications." I tell folks by the grace of God that I was accepted into the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And I say that in saying because now that I was growing a universe bigger than these 4 blocks, I was able to be able to learn new disciplines. I was able to have new mentorship. I was also able to learn a skill over a 5-year period that no one can ever take away from me.
Right.
Nobody's coming in my house, doing receptacles, putting in ceiling fans, light fixtures. I spent 5 years of my life doing that.
Right.
Then simply, and I tell my young people, you are the 5 people that you keep the company of. Simply because I was around this new universe, I was also around new conversations. I was around conversations where electricians were talking about being homeowners, landlords, business owners, things of that nature. And I looked at them then and I said, I know that that person's no smarter than I am. And I started duplicating some of the conversations that I was hearing. I bought my first house on Woodley Avenue at the age of 20. I saved up money. That second year, I bought my second house on Pelham, the third house on Kenyon, the fourth house on Ravenwood. I would graduate from that apprenticeship program, have 7 houses and a multi-unit. But then, here's the thing that I question each and every day. Why Cory McCray?
Right.
Why did Cory McCray get across that finish line? Why, when I looked to my left and I didn't see the peers that I grew up with? And I questioned that, and knowing that there are a couple things that I think also help shift our trajectories. Teaching our young people about financial literacy. That's number one. But the second one is removing the arbitrary barriers that's baked in public policy. And what happens is I tell folks my attitude towards politics was they leave me alone, I leave them alone.
Right.
I didn't understand the correlation of how politics or public policy impacts my neighborhood.
Right.
When I started to understand and do and learn, you know more, you do more.
Right.
And what I did was I then went and I got my first term. I served in the Maryland House of Delegates. And I'm currently, as you stated, going into my 3rd term by acclamation. Nobody's running against us as a Maryland State Senator, man.
Yes,
It's one of the most beautiful experiences.
Yes, sir. So one of the things that I have a great deal of respect for, and I've shared this with you off camera personally, Senator, is that you're relatable, right? Particularly in your district, right? I believe there's a lot of young folks who are in situations, Senator, some not necessarily by anything that they've done, just by circumstance and environment, that if they can see somebody like a Cory McCray, right, and they can hear his story, hear your story, then they'd be like, you know what, okay, I could do that, right? Because it's all about, listen, we all need a model, right? People say that, that's true, right? That's why, rappers are so popular, right? We all need a model. It depends on the type of model that you get, right? So I appreciate your background and you being able, man, because much like myself, because you and I have talked about what I've gone through to get from where I was to where I am now. So I appreciate that and you sharing that with our folks. But Baltimore, we've got Senator McCray is going to give you some more. We'll be right back.
Across Baltimore, couches fill up, remotes click on, and people tune in. Every Sunday morning at 11:30, families and neighbors are watching the New Life Show with Vin McCormick sharing stories of recovery, second chances, and real lives changing. It's the show Baltimore is talking about because hope belongs in every home. Watch the New Life Show with Vin McCormick, Sundays at 11:30 a.m. on WMAR TV2. Be part of the New Life movement. 2026 is here, but opioid addiction doesn't pause for a new year. Every day, overdoses take lives and leave families grieving. If you or someone you love is struggling with opioids, waiting can be deadly. At the New Life Recovery Center, we provide treatment, support, and a real path forward for people battling opioid addiction and rebuilding life after incarceration. Call the New Life Recovery Center at 410-304-6563. Start your new life today.
In Baltimore City, every second matters. Right now, someone is trapped in human trafficking, not far away, hidden in plain sight. Fear controls them. Addiction keeps them there. Time keeps moving. But a new life can begin with one call. Call the New Life Recovery Center, 410-304-6563. Every second counts.
If you've served your time, your story isn't over. At the New Life Recovery Center, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Our programs help the formerly incarcerated rebuild their lives with housing, job training, counseling, and support to start fresh. Freedom is more than being released, it's learning to live again. Take the first step toward your new beginning. Call 410-304-6563. Your new life starts today.
Baltimore, Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We've got Senator McCray here. Senator, let me give you the opportunity to talk to Baltimore, because not everybody is in the 45th district. And one of the things that I understand about you and your position and what you do, of course, your primary concern and focus is on the 45th district. But you care. This is what I've heard you say, right? This isn't me interpreting. Because you care about Maryland, right? You care about Baltimore.
Very much so.
So tell our folks who may not have any idea of what you're doing. Tell us what's going on in the 45th that you want to talk about.
Man, you gonna make me get up out this chair. Then when I think about just my time in the General Assembly, we passed over 100 bills. Over 100 bills in a decade plus that I've been able to serve.
Wonderful.
We've done voting rights. Folks that were on parole or probation did not have the right to vote until 2016.
Right.
We did that. 40,000 Marylanders when we look back on that. We've done minimum wage. Minimum wage when I took my first steps in the Maryland General Assembly, $10.10 is currently $15, and it's still not enough.
That's right.
But at least we're moving in the right direction.
Sure.
Public transportation. I caught the bus when I was going to school. My kids catch the bus, but sometimes the bus don't come at all. Sometimes it come late. And we're thinking about our seniors that's trying to get the prescription drugs, thinking about our students that's just trying to get to school, our families that's trying to get the workforce, things of that nature, and we need our bus system to run on time.
Right.
We've done a $6 billion injection in the Maryland Transportation Administration for light rail, bus, subway over a 6-year period, and I'm very proud of that work. We worked on our library staying open 6 days a week, extended hours, summer snaps, so the young people, we thinking thoughtfully about June, July, and August when they're not in school, because unfortunately that may be the only meals that they eat, and making sure there's extra money on that card. Thinking about our seniors and dropping the age from 60 to 50 and making sure that there are extra resources if they are SNAP benefit recipients. Thinking about black maternal health. We worked on 100 bills, but I tell you then, my folks, they like things they can touch. So I can talk about public policy all day, how we're moving the needle. But when we think about the 400 block of East Middle Street, it don't look the same. What we're doing right there is teacher housing, making sure that we're intentional about the people that we choose to come to our neighborhood versus people telling us. Library, right there at Green Mountain Chase. First one in the last 15, 20 years, public library that's been open. We just got a brand new one. Furley Elementary, it was emergency evacuation for them young people a decade ago. We just cut the ribbon, and this is the first year that they're able to come back to that school. Brand new school, elementary school with a full-size gym. You see that in high schools. Some high schools don't even have it. A science space, a dance studio, a learning environment that our young people should be gracious and blessed to be able to learn in. First public school football stadium coming at Hartford and 25th, named after the first black state senator in East Baltimore, Robert L. Dalton. So the folks that'll come at Reach Partnership, the Old Lake Clifton, will be able to have a field, be able to have the competition that they deserve. Last one I'm gonna go, because history is very, very important, and we should never forget the shoulders that we stand on. At Central and Orleans, there's going to be a new grocery store, but adjacent to that grocery store will be the Nathaniel J. McFadden Learn and Play Park. This is not a $1 million park, not a $2 million park. This is a $6+ million park that our young people, our seniors, our community can be able to enjoy. Then I can go on and on and on about what we're doing from that standpoint, but my people, they like tangibles. They like tangibles, and I felt it was important to give you some of the work that we're doing.
No, I appreciate that, because listen, there's no, people think, what have you done for me lately? Like that Janet Jackson song, and that's just real, because they want to see. I think that they rate the folks who they vote for, or that are in office, if they vote for them or not. Well, why should I vote for you again? You know what I mean? So I appreciate that, and I wanted to make sure that you communicated that to Baltimore, because a lot of Baltimoreans don't know.
That's why I gave streets. I was like, y'all know that library didn't just show up.
That's right.
Y'all know them teacher housing didn't just show up. If you look at the 700 block of Murray Street, you look at over there with Tamira over there at the Cube co-working space, first black woman-owned co-working space. Like, we were able to help lead on these types of efforts and making sure that we find the right partners. You look in the 4x4, there are 700 plus homes, 200 plus were vacant. Right now we got Marcus Walker, he just did 3130 Ravenwood, 2307 Bel Air Road. We got St. Ambrose, we got Habitat, we got Nehi, all on those 4 streets, making sure that we can think about what does home ownership, what does equity, what does owning something look like.
I want to touch on this, Senator, if we can.
Yes, sir.
So there's a line, Jay-Z said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. The murder rate in Baltimore City has come down, We're not going to get into that deeply, but I'm a part of We Are Us. I know you're familiar.
Yeah, very.
And I've walked the streets with those fellas, and safe streets as well. I believe, just based on what I see, not what somebody has told me, that formula is effective.
Yeah, very much
Can you
so.
tell us how important it is for what's going on collectively, Senator? How important it is for the murder rate to continue to go down, and how that's helping shape what you're trying to do, what you're doing, not trying to do, what you're doing in your district.
Man, you said a lot right there. And what we think about with homicides and non-fatal shootings and bringing them down over decades, the lowest in decades from that standpoint, like that is a combination of work.
Right.
And if I could speak to one of the pieces of policy, and when I
Absolutely.
talked about arbitrary barriers, I glossed over it, but I'm gonna put it where they can get it.
Yes, sir.
So when I think about 2020, there were several homicides at the intersection of Milton and Biddle, November 2020. I'm starting to remember now. That's right there in the Fort Worthington community.
Right.
The community comes and says to their leaders, we want you to do something about it. And what we found was, what was the correlation of this specific intersection then? And at that intersection was a liquor store. It was a liquor outlet. And then what we did was we said, we want to take a look at data. And let's map out all of the liquor stores from North Avenue to McElderry over to Luzerne, over to Central Avenue, and we had 29 liquor outlets in a 1 mile radius.
Wow.
A 1 mile radius. And then we looked at the intersections, and at every intersection there was at least a homicide and a non-fatal shooting at every last one in a 3-year period.
Okay.
And then when we took a look, we had 29 of them in that 3 years at Milton and Biddle. Caroline and Preston, 19 of them. And then when we thought about it, and I didn't realize this because sometimes we normalize things that's not normal.
Sure.
I did not realize that we were the only jurisdiction in the state where our hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Nowhere, not in Howard, Baltimore, Anne Arundel can you access liquor for 20 out of 24 hours.
Wow.
Typically they open up at 9 or 10, then they close 11 or midnight, things of that nature. So what do? I realized my own power, and this is what I tell my people, recognize your power. Liquor is under the state's purview.
Right.
Following year, 2021, we go in there and we change the hours of operation. We now, if you come in East Baltimore, our liquor outlets are open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
Oh, right there in East Baltimore.
Right.
And what happens is we saw the homicide rate drop 50% at those intersections simply because of the
Outstanding.
hours of operation.
That's right.
Simply because of the hours of operation. Now I'm gonna put it where you can get it. Just imagine my wife Demetria, she grew up in Oliver. Imagine she went to Lily Mae Carroll over there on Sinclair Lane. She would have walked past 3 liquor outlets before the school bell even rang. And I asked, what are we saying to our young people when we prioritize access to liquor versus access to education?
Now, you know, I've been counting down, so I don't want to overrun the segment, but we're going to pick back up on, because that's an important point, because I see a terrific, Senator, dichotomy between how we operate and do things in the city versus, let's just say, Baltimore County, right? So we're going to pick up on that in just a moment. Baltimore, don't go anywhere. Senator McCray, we'll be right back.
For decades, the opioid crisis has taken a devastating toll on Baltimore City, costing lives, breaking families, and overwhelming communities. In response, the city of Baltimore took historic action, holding pharmaceutical companies accountable for their role in fueling addiction. The result was the creation of the Opioid Restitution Fund, often referred to as the ORF. The Opioid Restitution Fund exists for one reason: to repair the harm caused by opioids. These funds are designated to support prevention, treatment, recovery services, mental health care, housing, and community-based programs that serve people most impacted by addiction. But the success of the ORF depends on more than funding alone. It depends on awareness, transparency, and community involvement. Baltimore residents deserve to know how these funds are being used, where they are going, and how they can benefit individuals, families, and neighborhoods across the city. That's why staying informed matters. When citizens understand the Opioid Restitution Fund, they can advocate for resources, support organizations doing the work, and ensure the money reaches those who need it most. This is not just policy, it's personal. These funds represent a second chance for people struggling with opioid addiction and a path forward for for communities working to heal. At the heart of that work are community-based organizations like the New Life Recovery Center. The New Life Recovery Center has been boots on the ground in Baltimore, meeting people where they are, providing housing, addiction treatment, mental health therapy, re-entry support for formerly incarcerated individuals, and wraparound services that help people rebuild their lives. New Life doesn't just talk about recovery, it lives it every day in neighborhoods across the city. As conversations around the Opioid Restitution Fund continue, the New Life Recovery Center plays a critical role in helping residents understand what these resources mean on a real human level. From community outreach to direct services, New Life helps bridge the gap between policy and people. The ORF creates opportunity. Organizations like New Life turn that opportunity into impact. For individuals struggling with addiction, for families searching for support, and for citizens who want to be part of the solution, staying informed is the first step. Getting involved is the next. Recovery is possible. Healing is happening. And with the right information, the right resources, and the right community partners, Baltimore can move forward together. Learn more. Get informed. Get help. Call 410-304-6563. Coming home from prison means an opportunity to start a new life. An opportunity to reconnect with your family and the life you want to rebuild. At the New Life Recovery Center, men and women coming home from prison find housing, recovery support, mental health services, and guidance to start over the right way. Make your first stop a place that believes in second chances. Call the New Life Recovery Center.
Baltimore, Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. We're here with Senator McCray, the very passionate Senator McCray, I might add. So, Senator, we were talking about, I want to pick back up on that because that's deep, that's heavy. We were talking about the dichotomy between, we just use this as an example, what you were talking about in terms of the liquor stores being so close together before you got, that was very powerful. So can we pick up on that?
Yeah, yep. I just think like a lot of times we look at public safety and we're not looking at the correlation of public health, mental health, and what it does in reference to our community from that standpoint. When people have to walk past blight, when you're a young person and you're taking all of that negativity in at the beginning of your day and then you're going and they're asking you to produce from that standpoint. Like I said, if let's just say that at the home there's issues such as food insecurity that's going on, or think about like just the lack of supermarkets in our neighborhood to be able to get to the fresh food, but you have access to the corner store where you got soda, you got candy, you got chips, you got all of these different things, and nobody's teaching you what is being poured. And that's why I go back to how I started. The arbitrary barriers that are placed in folks' way in order for them to be successful.
You're very passionate about what you do. I've heard that since I met you. I can appreciate that, and I'm certainly not going to compare you to your associates in Annapolis. But what we do here at New Life is we have to do more than we're required, right? So the state, BHA says, New Life, we're going to pay you to do this, this, and this. But Senator, the folks need this, and this. And I'll give you an example. And you were talking about the incarcerated individuals. We've got about 15 guys who came straight from institutions to New Life. Senator, when they come here, most of them don't have any clothes other than the state gear they got, right? I ain't getting into why your family ain't, I don't ask those questions. I just know that in order for them to be successful here right away, it's some things that we need to do because I am them over 27 years ago. I'm a returning citizen. I'm a recovering addict. So I've got a great perspective on what they need. So we give them, we feed them, we clothe them, not just the folks coming from the institution, everybody come here, Senator. We gotta feed them, right? Because we can't put them in group next door and expect them to listen, to understand what they need to do to change if they're not fed, right? If they don't have some clean gear on. So this is not self-promotion. I just realized that you got to give them more than the state requires, right? And I won't get into that. So one of the things that I realized about you and hear often from you is that you're really giving people much more than I believe you're mandated to. And that's the passion, right? That's the passion and from where you came from. So I got to get back to the apprenticeship, man, because this is wonderful. So I want to give you an opportunity, Senator, to tell folks how they can get this book right in their hands so they can learn about you and this can touch their lives and impact them.
Yep. And I just want to say I appreciate it. I think that our bodies should be diverse. And I think that because we have different lived experiences, we have a different type of added value.
Sure.
There are 141 members in the House of Delegates. There are 47 members in the Maryland State Senate. But when you think about the only person that graduated from a registered apprenticeship, one of the few that actually can work with their hands from that standpoint. And this isn't just stops at the state of Maryland. When you look across the country and what are the makeup of elected officials, we need more people like yourself and myself to make sure that we can speak to the lived experiences in these bodies that are making these major decisions.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna transition to the book now.
Yes, sir.
Back to the lived experience, but more importantly, a guidebook. I don't need you to make the same mistakes. I need you to have a full understanding of every weapon that's out there against you.
Absolutely.
And I then need you, as you're equipped with these tools, to be able to understand, how do I find an apprenticeship program? Everybody's not going to one of our distinguished universities or our community colleges, but I think that the apprenticeship is the other university. So I think that it's at an equivalent level, and we need to speak to it in that form.
Yes,
where do you get it from? I always ask folks to support your neighborhood. So if you can, go to one of your local bookstores, because they have it. Whether you're at Urban Reads, whether you're at Everyone's Place, whether you're at Ivy Bookshop, whether you're at Snug's Books, wherever you're at, your local bookstore. But let's say you want some level of going to the internet. You can go to Barnes & Nobles, you can go to Amazon, and they all will have the apprenticeship that saved my life. And I deeply appreciate anybody that picks it up and read it.
And we appreciate that. Lastly, tell me what it is that you'd like to share with Baltimore in terms of what they can do to get behind not just the 45th District residents, Senator, but the folks in Baltimore or even in Maryland, because this is a local program, but the folks in Maryland can see this. What would you like to say to them, or what can they get behind to give you some strength in numbers in terms of what you're trying to change?
Yeah, I just say stay active, stay engaged. It's people every day trying to control your mind. You look at the phones, the different things that's out there. But at the end of the day, is we are more educated people as we're thinking about what does ownership look like and what do tangibles look like in our neighborhood. So know who your city council person is. Most people know the mayor, they know the governor. But if you think about the city council, the House of Delegates, Maryland State Senate, folks don't know those legislative bodies, and they're doing some very important work that could be detrimental or it could be advantageous for you, but you have to be in the game. They always say if you're not sitting at the table, you're on the menu. I just beg my people to be at that table.
I like that. So Baltimore, Senator Cory McCray, and for the young folks, particularly my young men who may be in situations that are adverse right now, this is a role model. Right? Not Rick Ross and them. This is a role model. This is an example of excellence. I've seen him. I touched him. He's accessible. I call Senator McCray, and he's one of the people that can call you back. When you find a politician that you can call and they call you back, you got to keep them in office, Baltimore. So, Baltimore, thank you for tuning in. Senator Cory McCray. Senator, thank you so much.
Man, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Bless, brother.
Absolutely. Baltimore, Vin McCormick, host of the New Life Show. I hope that you enjoyed today's show. We had Senator Cory McCray, who's doing some wonderful things in the 45th District, and he'll be back for another 4 years to do what he's doing for his wonderful folks over there in the 45th. So Baltimore, we've got great shows coming. We've got great guests who are going to come in and share things with you. So we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Baltimore, stand up. Stand up. Stand up. New life. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Came home from the cell, chain still on my brain. Same block, same talk, same corner, same pain. Need change.